all. I really just recorded about a 10-minute video and then it didn't save and somehow my computer just deleted it. So I'm going to try and do this again and probably be a little bit quicker about it. But I'm sorry I missed last week. I was in the process of moving, so everything was a little bit hectic and my mother came up to help me set up a little bit, and it was just a mess. I didn't have internet set up, and so anyway, I am back again, and this week, as you've probably seen, we're talking about fears and how we felt about our partners, any fears we had about our partners coming out to us, and maybe advice that we have about dispelling fears. So I guess I'll just start with that. My advice would be to just reach out and talk to people when you have fears. I know that Caiden and I started talking about this about a little over a year ago, just a few months after we started dating, and not much has been happening. It's been a long process, a long emotional, mental process that the two of us have been going through before he actually started on T. And he really only started on T about 3 weeks ago. So it has really been a long time that we've really been talking about this. So we've had a lot of time to think and process and try and come to terms with it without anything really happening, which can be good and bad because it makes it a little bit more difficult at times because you aren't seeing physical changes along with the mental changes, which can be pretty interesting because sometimes it doesn't really feel like much is happening. But through all of my fears, I think I've never felt as comfortable with it as I have in the past few months because I really started reaching out and talking to people and watching even more videos and researching more about testosterone and about the transition phase and about everything that could possibly happen, what has happened to other couples, what has happened to individuals FTM and MTF, because it can be pretty similar in some situations about what both MTFs and FTMs go through. It's a transition. It's all about people getting comfortable with it and being able to come to terms with what's happening. So really, I've never felt as comfortable as I have now because of all of the books I've read and everything that I've been trying to gain so much knowledge that the more knowledge I have, the better I feel because I feel as if I understand it a little bit better. So that would be my advice to everyone, is to really reach out when you have a question or a fear, even if it has to do with your relationship and not necessarily with the transition, because the more comfortable you feel in every other aspect of your life, the more comfortable and easier it will be to deal with what's happening with your partner. So on that note, some fears that I have. Well, I came out as a lesbian when I first came to college, and it has been several years of me really getting comfortable and really coming to terms with myself and knowing who I am and who I want to date and the type of people I want to be around and be with, friendship and relationship wise. And so I initially dated boys in high school. It never felt right. It never felt comfortable. And so when I started dating girls, it was this whole new world, and it was really exciting and fun, and I felt more myself than I'd ever felt in my entire life. So that's just a little side note, but that leads to the point that dating a boy again has been really interesting and quite uncomfortable at times, and that was one of my biggest fears when we initially started talking about this, because I have been very turned off to wanting to date a boy since I started dating girls and really came out to myself and was true to myself about where I want to be in my life and in my relationship. So it has been a fear and it's been lessened, but it's also been a constant thing that's always been there that we talk about every once in a while about, whether I'm comfortable or not. And I think it hasn't been something we've really had to confront yet because Caiden hasn't transitioned to the point where society views him as a male. He's always been very masculine, and um, but he's just never, he doesn't pass 100% of the time. He passes a few times here and there, but he's getting to the point where he's starting to pass more frequently. And to me, that's a little bit daunting because I like being viewed in a lesbian relationship and not in a hetero relationship. Um, but it's been really interesting coming to terms with that and realizing that I'm in love with a person and not a gender. And I know that that's kind of cliche to say, but it's true. So, going from there, I guess some of my initial fears were health-wise for Caiden. It can be a big change for your body to be getting testosterone. I know that guys go through mood swings, and there's just a whole bunch of changes that happen when they start on T. So it was a little bit fearful starting to delve into that information, but really the more I researched about it, the better I felt because there's a lot out there that explains what T does to the body and how his body will change, how it could change, how it might not change, and ways to make it better. I know that um, I think Emery talked about it, about a lot of, Emery and the FTM partner of Cheyenne, um, that he talked about a lot of natural ways to transition, and I think that's been a top priority for us because I really want Caiden to be healthy and um, helping his body along as much as possible. So getting the exercise and the right food and all of that. Um, see, some more fears. There's quite a few of them, but as I've said before, it's a lot about gaining information and knowledge and communicating, especially with your partner, and that kind of quells or has quelled my fears about it. I think that there's always new fears and there's always new things and complications and stuff to think about. So it's just a continual process, and I think it will be as he goes through his transition. And since he has started his transition, um, it has been a process. It's a lot to take in, and it's not going to be finished for a long time. He is transitioning his person. He's becoming this. A lot of him stays the same, and I'm not saying he's going to be a completely different person, but a lot about him will change, and so has been changing and will continue to change. So it, I think that having fears is completely okay, and I think the best part, is having somebody to listen, not necessarily your partner. Sometimes it helps to have a third party to just sit down with them and, be like, this is what I'm feeling, and, I just needed to talk to somebody about it, and to have that listening ear can really boost your confidence and really quell your fears, even if they don't have any advice. They're just there to listen. So I think that kind of answers the questions and um, the topic for this week. But if you do have any questions or concerns or really just want to talk about things, feel free to message me, leave a comment. Ooh, excuse me. A comment below, and that's about it. I will see you all next Thursday. I hope you're having a wonderful week and a great summer, and I'll see you soon.